All right, you guys, so this tutorial is going to be for those people who want to learn how to print on the 3x4 cards. It's actually not hard to do, but it does take a little bit of precision. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to measure I know the card's 3x4, but I want to measure this polka dot section, and it looks like it's right at 1 inch. And so now I'm going to head over to my computer and we will work on it there. All right, you guys, so I'm in Photoshop CC. You could do this in any Photoshop version that you have. It works great with Photoshop Elements as well. I don't know all the keystrokes for that. I imagine many of them are the same. But hopefully you know your program well enough. So right here, I just have a new document open, and I'm going to create, I have this one already created because I use 3x4 inches a lot. But if you don't, you can just come here and put 3x4 inches, or you could click on this arrow and you could bring up centimeters, millimeters, points, picas, pixels, whatever you're most comfortable with, and then make sure the resolution is at 300 because you are going to be printing this out. And I always just have my color mode at RGB, mostly because I'm printing in black and white and it works just fine for my laser printer. And then I'm going to hit create. One thing that I wanted to show you that I realized that I had open, so this file I actually had in my Project Life 2017 week 1 spread, and this file that I'm going to be working on is also from week 1. So I just wanted to show you, since if you've seen that video, you can see that I have all of these markers, and the reason is because if you recall, that tutorial, or excuse me, that card had like a square here that said goals, and then it had a big square here that said notes. So I just sectioned this off. So actually this top portion right here is what says goals. And I just measured all of this. And this actually took a little bit more time than the one I'm going to be making because there was a box on the inside. But really this little box right here that you can see, that is where goals was, and then this little box is where notes was. So just gives me a better indication of where I need to put my journaling. So when I come over to this document we just set up, I know that I did the measurement and it's 1 inch from the bottom or 1 inch from the top. However, I could do both if I want to have the polka dots here at the top and then the writing on the bottom, or vice versa. I think what I want to do is have the polka dots here at the bottom. So I'm not going to worry about this, and I can just move it out of the way if I think it's going to bother me. I'm going to come over to my text tool. I'm just going to create a text box, and I'm giving myself some margin because I don't want my type to go all the way to the edge, and I'm going to lift this up slightly because I want there to be a little bit of margin between the pattern and my words as well. And then I'm just going to go ahead and just type up my journaling. Okay, so I went ahead and I finished out my typing. And oftentimes what I will do is sometimes I'll add a little bit more spacing in between the letters. Right now it's set at 60. I'm thinking I won't be able to get any more because it's already super, super tight. But I just wanted you to know that that's often an option if you want it to look a little bit more like a typewriter. So I just went ahead and did that journaling. Now I'm going to come out of it, and I think I'll bring this down slightly. Now I'm going to come over here to my background, and you can see that my background is locked. So I'm going to uncheck that by clicking right on the lock, and it's going to create this into a layer. And then what I want to do is come over to this FX, which is, I believe, function, and click on it, and then I want to come up to stroke. And let me pull over this box. What I want to do, and it actually, I do 3 pixels and black. You could choose to do maybe a gray, I would definitely keep it darker. And then you could maybe do more if you wanted. I do keep it at center and I click OK. And you can't really tell, but it added a stroke. And maybe if I come on and off, okay, when I click on and off, you can kind of see that it adds that stroke there. So when I go ahead and print it, and I'm going to hit Command P, you could also come up to File and go to Print here, but I'm just going to do Command P and bring over my dialog box. Now I'm going to print this with my Brother printer, and this is just going to be a test. And this is how I do it. This is the best way to do it for me, is to keep it centered. And I'm going to come up to my printer settings, just make sure it's, in fact, because this is going to be on plain paper, I could just click plain paper. It may or may not save me on ink. I'm not really sure. Want to make sure that it's scaled to 100. I'm going to keep it center. You could move it if you wanted. I just think it's easier that way. And like I said, this is text paper, and then I'm just going to hit print, and now it's going to go to print, and I will meet you back over at my desk. All right, you guys, so this is my print, and you can see that it printed the box. Now, what the box is going to do is it's going to help me know where to place my card. Now, if I'm creating something like this, that's a little bit trickier because these boxes were already there. Oftentimes, I will put it on top of the box like this, and I'll stick it up into the light. So the light's shining from the bottom so I can see it through. I'll put it on a window so I can see it, the writing through. These are awfully thick, but you can often see a little bit of the writing, and then you can see if it needs to be adjusted. So I always do that to see if it needs to be adjusted. Right here I can see, right here I can see that this is going to print just fine, although I think what I will do is maybe I'll add a little bit more spacing in between this journaling, because there is quite a bit of space there, as you can see. Or maybe that is the exact same from top to bottom. So maybe I will just leave it. It's not that big of a deal. So what I like to do is I like to use a stamp runner because it is removable adhesive, and I want to put it on the paper, and I at least do two. And the reason why I want to put it on the paper is because if I put it on here, when I pull it off, it's going to keep the sticky, and then it just gets all over the page protectors. So I'm going to put this right inside my box. And I just want to make sure that's right inside. See, I've done it before where I haven't printed out this box, and it makes it so much harder. So if you keep the box, oh, and you know what, I think I want to do it this way. If you make sure to print that box, then you'll get it in perfect placement every time. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the computer, and then I'm going to print onto this piece of paper. Okay, so now that I went ahead and I printed my test print, now what I want to do, and this is one of the most important pieces, is I need to come over to my layer where the stroke is, and I need to hide that layer. So it is going to take the white off of it. If you want to keep the white and hide the stroke, you could just take off the effects right there, and you can see that there's no stroke. I have a stroke. Now I don't have a stroke. I like to just hide the entire thing, and that way I know there's not going to be any stroke on it. I think I will just move that down. Maybe I'll move it back up and put just a little bit more spacing in between the lines. All right, now I'm going to hit print one more time. And before I do that, I want to make sure that I've put my paper into my printer. And before you go ahead and print it, you want to make sure that you're feeding the paper in the right way. So if you need to do a test because you're not entirely sure how to feed the paper through, I would definitely do a test print. So the way that I do it is I put an arrow that is pointing to the top of the page, and I stick that in the bin,
and it's facing up at me. And so once the paper has printed through, then I will see if it's printed on the front of the page where my arrow was, or if it's printed on the back of the page. And then I'll also notice if it's printed at the top where the arrow was, or if it's printed at the bottom of the page. So that gives me an indication of how I need to stick my paper in so that I can get it to print on my 3x4 card properly. So in my printer, which is the Brother printer, I have to stick my paper down, face down, so the arrow would be facing down and then the arrow would be at the top of the page. So that's how I have to do it on my printer. But it can be very different for your printer, and there are some printers that just feed all the way straight through, so it's really easy to know how to do it. So just definitely figure that out first before you go ahead and try and print on the card. The other thing I want to say is I have done this before and it has not worked out. It has kind of messed up, but I just do it every time and just kind of cross my fingers, and if it doesn't work, then there have been times that I've cut off the pattern paper and then just printed it again on white, and it's worked out totally fine. The one thing I want to do here, and I didn't do it when I did my test print, but that's fine. I just want to make sure that I went through my spelling. It looks like my spelling is just fine, which is actually a little bit of a surprise. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do Command P, which is print, and then I'm going to print this off.
All right, you guys, so this is how it looks when it prints out. It prints beautifully, and you can see that it did not print the box because I told it, I hid the layer that had the box on there, so it didn't print the box again. And then you saw how easy it was that I just pulled it off the backing there, and now I can just stick it right in my layout.
All right, you guys, so that's how easy it is to print on a 3x4 card. Like always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you would like to see my video of this full spread, this is week 1 from 2017, make sure to look in the description below and I will have that video linked. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and if you would like to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.